I am Brenda Hijmans. I work as a data steward at the Netherlands Cancer Institute, and I'm also a data operator for Healthri. Today, I will give you a short introduction to the CBio portal and will tell you how this data integration platform can help you make your data fair. Let's start with a case. Imagine that the following patient was treated at the Antonie van Leeuwenhoek Hospital. This man represents with astrocytoma in April 2014. The tumor is surgically removed in July, and a little over a year later, radiology images show progression. Chemotherapy is started, and a second tumor evolves, which is a glioblastoma. Well, during the time this patient was treated at the Antonie van Leeuwenhoek, a lot of data was gathered and is now saved in different databases. Clinical data, such as personal details and detailed information about treatments, is saved in the electronic health record, HICS. Medical images, such as radiology images and CT scans, are saved in the picture archiving system. Blood concentrations of, for instance, circulating tumor DNA, which are measured at clinical chemistry, are found in the database GLIMS. Digital pathology images are saved in the lab management system or image management system. And sequencing data from the tissues taken at the biopsies are reached via the database MOLPA. To get a complete picture of this patient's treatment trajectory, currently all these databases would have to be accessed individually. Wouldn't it be great if all the data for patients could be reached from one central database? This would be possible using the CBio portal. I will now show you what the data for the discussed patient would look like in the national CBio portal. When I move to the Healthri instance of CBio portal, so the national one, I'm asked to log on using a Google account. I already logged on before, so my password is saved in this browser session. Well, all data is securely stored, and only those that are allowed to see the data will be granted access. This study list consists only of studies that I have access to, and I would not be able to even see that the study is in the portal if I do not have access. I will now move to the data for the discussed patient. This top panel shows a timeline for our patient's clinical data. The timeline starts at the date of diagnosis. You can see when the biopsies were taken and what the diagnoses were. You can see the treatments and the duration of the treatments, and it's all in a comprehensible overview. In the middle panel, the CBio portal shows an overview of the mutation profile of both tumors. So the first tumor had very little mutations. The second tumor had much more mutations. The table below gives a detailed representation of all the mutations that are present in the first tumor sample and the second tumor sample. Well, our patient was part of a study, and in the CBio portal, you can get an overview of the whole study. And here you can see all clinical and mutation data for the patients in the study. When you hover over an item, you get more info. For instance, the number of samples in a patient. You can see the legend if you hover over this pie chart. And you can get more information about the overall survival plot. Also, with these pie charts, you can click and select different subsets of the data. Let's, for instance, select all males with astrocytoma, or we can select all females with astrocytoma. And you can also save these subsets, and then you compare the different groups. I already saved them before, and I will now compare. The CBio portal makes some instant analyses for your groups. For instance, you can compare survival curves for the both groups. You can compare clinical data attributes. You can get more information about mutations, for instance, gene alteration frequencies. Well, let's move back to the PowerPoint now. Our patient had 2 biopsies taken, and here you can see how digital pathology slides of tissues can be incorporated into the National CBio portal. This has not been done yet, but it will be done in the future. So a different tab will become available in which you can move to an external program to the scored digital pathology images. And they're directly accessible from the CBio portal. Well, medical images of our patient, such as the radiology images that were taken, could be integrated in a similar manner. A different tab would become available, which would link to an external program containing the radiology images. Well, we have seen that the CBio portal is an integration platform that helps researchers to view and query complex genomic data sets in a comprehensive manner. The data types that are handled by the portal are genetic mutations, clinical data, gene copy number alterations, gene expression, DNA methylation, and protein expression. I showed you some features of the Dutch National Healthri instance, cbioportal.healthri.nl, where access to studies can be restricted to allow for safe and secure sharing of data. The Healthri data team can help researchers to upload their study data in a safe manner. As an operator of the data team for Healthri, I am involved in secure importing of studies to the National CBio portal. Also, we have strong connections to an international community of developers, so we can have influence on development of new features. I gave just a brief overview of the possibilities of the CBio portal. I would like to know if you would like to know more or have data that you would like to be hosted in the National CBio portal, please contact us at this email address. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Brenda, for presenting the CBio portal. So I will have you here as well. You're here with us as well to answer questions. So I'm encouraging everybody to put questions in the chat. We are running a little bit behind schedule, but we have a break after this. So I think there's time for at least one question if people have. So one thing I was wondering is, what is the requirement for people to get access to this data? So is this for researchers or students, and do you have specific requirements or procedures that you follow for this very sensitive data?
Yeah, thank you, Ricarda, and thank you, Dans, for having me here today. To get access to data, you have to request access. You can do it at the login page of the CBio portal, and then you can request access first to a test study and get some information about the CBio portal itself and browse through this test study. If you want to have actual information to actual studies, you'll have to go via our service portal, the Healthri service portal. It's actually, you can send an email to the same address that I showed you in the presentation at the end.
Okay, thank you.
And then you have to, of course, state your reasons, and you'll be you will get into contact with the PI of the research.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies it. There's a question from the chat, which is whether the data will be stored for the long term.
Yeah, that depends on how long you would want to have it stored. So if you, it's all up to you. it's all up to
I think the question is whether this data that you have in the portal now, whether it is archived in some sort of way. I think that's probably the question.
It could be archived if you want it to be archived, but it's all up to the researcher whether it will be archived.
Okay. So it's then for the specific studies, because some of the data that is included in the portal now, that is from a specific study, and then the researcher would decide whether this data is archived on the study basis. Is that how it's organized?
Yes, well, we have an ETL server where we store all the study files that are uploaded to the portal, and then actually all those study files, if we have a sandbox server and a production server, so if something is in production, it is already archived, the study data. However, if you decide to remove your study data, if the PI of a study decides to remove their study data, this archive is also destroyed.
Okay. Thank you. This is nice to clarify. So I think there might be some more questions in the chat, but I would like to round off this section. Thank you again, Brenda, for telling us about this infrastructure that you were developing, or the developing. And yeah, if people have more questions, then please put them in the chat.